Alright, so right now we're about to go over isotopes. Now for the isotope practice set, you need to know that whenever you have something like carbon 14, this 14 is indicative of the mass number. So that's what you're looking at, is the mass number. Now, isotopes means that we have a different number of neutrons, and that means that we're going to have a different mass number because something in the middle is changing. Remember, neutrons are in the nucleus. So the nucleus has the pluses, the protons, but then we also have neutrons. Well, when we have a different number of neutrons, that's going to change the mass of the element, okay? So how do you tell isotopes apart? It's going to be by this mass number and the number of neutrons. Okay, we're going to start out doing this together, make sure you understand it. Now, the biggest thing is to figure out what you have and what you're looking for. So, we've got to get a periodic table because we're going to need it. Now, remember that our P's and E's are equal, our protons and electrons are equal if it's a neutral element. Well, here we do not have a charge. We don't have the plus and the minuses like we did on the last worksheet. We are looking for isotopes, so different number of neutrons. So the P's and the E's should be equal. So because of that, this should be 55, and that means these are both 55 as well. The P's and E's don't change. What changes is the number of neutrons. This is what makes it an isotope, okay? So now what we have to do is we have to figure out what element we're talking about. So we know our P's are 55. Remember that our P's are the atomic number. And remember that the atomic number is the number at the top of the periodic table. It's the top number. So we have the 55. So we go down here to our periodic table and we find 55, which is right here, and it is cesium. I know y'all can't really see this, but it's cesium. So both of these elements are cesium because they have the same numbers of P's and E's. Now, what has changed is the mass number. Now, what we have to do to get the mass number is, well, we have to think about the mass number is the mass of the nucleus. Remember, the nucleus is the middle of the atom, and it's your P's and your N's. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add these two numbers to give you your mass number. Okay, so we're going to add them. So 55 plus 113 is going to be 168. So this is going to be cesium 168. Now you're going to come over here and you're going to have to find the mass number for this guy. Okay, so we're going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to add these two to give us our mass number. So we have 55 plus 111. That's going to give you 166. So you have two isotopes, cesium 168 and cesium 166. Okay? So make sure you write it down. Now for the next one. Okay, this one's a little tricky. The reason why is because they gave us neutrons like they did here. They gave us the protons. Remember, the protons and the electrons are always the same in a neutral element. This is neutral, okay? So that means that our P's and our E's are going to be the same all over, okay? P's and E's are the same. Now, we have to figure out what element it is, and we need to know that mass number that goes at the end. So you're going to have something dash a number. Something dash a number, okay? So we have our P. Remember, our P is our atomic number. So we come over here to our periodic table, and our 32 is here. See, 32. It's germanium. So we're going to write germanium for both. I'm having to write small. Sorry. Germanium. Trying to get it to fit in that square. You go out, that's fine. Okay, but now we need this number at the end. Remember that that's the mass number. To get the mass number, we add our P's and our N's. So we add these two up. Add these two up. So we have 32 plus 30. It's going to give you 62. And then you have 32 and 32. 32 plus 32 is going to be 64. Okay, so now go ahead and pause and write down to make sure you get the right answers written down. We're going to do 2 more, and then you're going to do the last 4 on your own. Okay, so now this one's a little tricky. Okay, we have our mass number, and we have our element. Because we know our element, we can look at the atomic number and we can get our P's and our E's. So remember, the atomic number is the top number. So we got to look for chromium. Chromium, chromium, chromium. Chromium is right here. Okay, chromium. So its top number is 24. So those are your P's and your E's. And remember, those don't change. Those are the same all the time. Alrighty, so now we have to find the number of neutrons. Remember, the neutrons are the ones that change. So what we're going to have to do is, remember, when we got our mass number, it's our P's and our N's. Well, we have the mass number and we have the P's. We need to know the N's. So what you're going to do is you're going to subtract. So 58 minus 24, 58 minus 24, and that's going to give you 34 neutrons. Okay? So now come over here, and you have your mass number, you have your P's, you need your N's. So we're going to take this number, and we're going to subtract 24. So 63 minus 24 is going to give you 39. Okay. Let's do one more. You're going to do this one exactly the way we did this one. Let's do one of these at the bottom that changes. Okay? So here, you've got this blank number that you need to figure out. Remember, this is our mass number. And to get our mass numbers, it's P plus N. P plus N. But we know the element. This guy tells us our P's and our E's. So we need to find iodine on the periodic table. And iodine is I. So I've got it right here. So I is right here. And that top number, that atomic number, is 53. So we're going to fill in our chart. 53, 53. Remember, our P's and our E's stay the same when we're doing isotopes. All right. So now we need to come up with our mass number. We'll come up here and remember how we did our mass number. To find the mass number, remember that you added your P's and N's. So to get your mass number, you got to do P plus N. So 53 plus 32, 53 plus 32, it's going to give you 85. Okay? Now you come over here, and again, you need your mass number, so it's your P's and your N's. So you got your P's, you got your N's. So 53 plus 35, and that's going to give you 88. So then you have isotopes 85 and 88. And notice the P's and E's change the same. In every case, the P's and the E's are the same. What we're changing is the number of neutrons. All right, that is how you do the isotopes practice worksheet.